When you look in the mirror, what do you feel? Are you excited about your life, yourself? Do you feel love and admiration for that person staring back at you? Do you worry mostly about just kind of how you look externally to someone else? Or do you look in the mirror and wish you were something else? You don't like your face, your body, or maybe even deeper than that, you don't like something inside. Or maybe it's worse than that and you dislike yourself or even hate yourself or you hate your life. If you don't look in the mirror and feel love and kindness towards yourself, why not? All growth and achievement starts from a place of loving yourself. If you think about religious doctrine, if you're so inclined, nearly every religion has the principle expressed in the New Testament about loving your neighbor as yourself. We memorialize that in the Golden Rule, do unto others as though you were the others, or as you would be done unto. And that idea is expressed in nearly every religious or moral context or code. But the interesting thing is it's all based around the idea that we love ourselves and that you love yourself. Now, one way we think about that is, okay, people would do almost anything to preserve their life. So if their life is threatened, they, scramble, do anything, anywhere to stay alive. And we've all seen the crazy movie or television program where some bad guy does awful things. And finally, it's time for his comeuppance, and the good guy captures him, and he's going to shoot him or put him in jail or whatever it is. Usually, he's threatening his life. He's hanging off a building, or somebody's got a gun on him, or whatever. And then the bad guy suddenly starts pleading and begging for his life, even though he was completely callous and villainous and vicious and terribly unconcerned about others' lives, right? And the good guy, is always caught in this moral dilemma about whether or not to give the bad guy his comeuppance, what he deserves, or what we all think he deserves, or whether or not to spare him and send him to jail and all that nonsense. I'm not talking about your willingness to do whatever you need to do to preserve your breath, your life. I'm actually not talking about that level of, loving yourself. I'm talking about something different. Do you love who you are? Are you happy with the person that you are day to day, with how you act, with the friends you have, how you treat them, your significant other or spouse if you have one, your children if you have them, your grandchildren if you have them, whoever is close in your life, are you happy with how you treat them, with who you are? And most importantly, are you happy with how you treat yourself? Are you happy with how you relate to God? God has given us the earth and our life and breath and everything else. Are you happy with how you feel about and act toward Him? Are you happy with your level of honesty? Are you happy with how you present yourself in the world? Do you tell the truth? And all of those questions. That's the kind of self-love I'm asking about. What I'm not asking is, are you perfect? In other words, do you have things about yourself that you want to improve? Of course you do. Everybody has that. Here's the crux of the matter. Does the fact that you have things, maybe many things, maybe big things, about yourself that you don't want to continue, that you want to change, does that mean you have to have hatred or self-loathing toward yourself? And my answer is absolutely and unequivocally no. You do not, in fact, you must not feel that self-loathing and hate toward yourself. And it is not necessary or good to say, I'm bad, what I'm doing is bad, and I want to go somewhere good. I want to change so I can be good. Because that is a colossal fallacy. Because that means anytime I want to be good, I have to declare where I am bad. So that means you live in a perpetual place of bad. I'm bad, then I'll become good. No, now I'm bad again because I want to become better. How about if you simply accept with kindness, love, and patience where you are and acknowledge that you still want to change things and become better? Let me illustrate this with a couple of points. When you first get a dog and you're trying to train them not to pee in the house, and they pee in the house, you have all kinds of patience with that if you've had dogs before, and you expect that. You expect the dog to screw up and pee in the house. Now, if you got angry and hated the dog, you would never, first of all, you'd never teach them not to pee in the house. All you'd teach them is to be afraid of you. And that would be what they learned. And they wouldn't equate any of that stuff. It wouldn't work, right? But you don't apply that, or we don't. Maybe you don't apply that to yourself. So you make mistakes, and you have the story of you should know better. You should not do that. That is harmful. It is toxic and counterproductive. It's harmful to your self-esteem and your energy to go forward. It damages, toxic. It creates worry, upsetness, cortisol, hormones in your body that are physically damaging. And it creates this whole feeling of the story of unworthy and how much you suck. I have lived there for decades, knowing somehow that I wasn't bad enough and I sucked and I had to be better. And then if I did something better and I didn't get the approval I wanted, which was external, it must mean I still suck. So I lived in a constant place of being bad, wrong, evil for decades. That had disastrous consequences. And this isn't just, conversation's not about my journey here. But what I have learned, and I'm sharing with you, is you are in a good place. You are perfectly imperfect, as it were. You are. Isn't that a wonderful thing to know? And that's true even if you have one thing or 1,000 things that you want to do better or different tomorrow. And I'm going to give you one exercise to do. Go to the mirror and look in it, and look in your own eyes and say, I love you, to yourself. Now, if you've never done that before, or if you haven't done it much, it's going to feel really weird. And I have done that with some people, and they can't even do it. They can't look themselves in the eye and say, I love you. It either feels too weird, or they feel guilty, or there's this whole dance around it. And I want you to practice that and tell yourself you love that person in the mirror, looking in the eyes. Not, I love you. But seriously, I love you. And I want you to just work through that day after day until it becomes true. Now, in a future one of these, I'll tell you some of the effects that can have and some other ways to think about that. But for now, let that be your assignment. Go do it, and we'll see you tomorrow.